Welcome, seekers of truth and mystery. They say, a name is more than a label. It carries the weight of destiny. Names are spoken over us from birth, echoing through time, shaping our path in ways unseen. But what if I told you that the very first letter of your name carries a message, a secret waiting to be uncovered? A clue to your calling, your strengths, and even your struggles. Today, we are unlocking this mystery, decoding the first letter of your name and revealing its hidden significance. This is not just about letters. It's about identity, purpose, and the divine imprint on your life. But before we begin this deep dive, make sure to subscribe to this channel because here we don't just talk, we unveil the unseen. Now, let's begin. Names are not random. Every letter has a weight in ancient languages, carrying meanings lost to time. Could your name be a whisper of something greater? In many cultures, names were not chosen based on trend or sound, but with deep intention, often reflecting the essence of a person's soul, their divine purpose, or even a prophecy about their life. In ancient times, names carried authority, and to know someone's true name was to have power over them. The concept of hidden meanings in names stretches back to biblical and historical records, where names were given based on destiny rather than preference. Even today, many people feel a deep connection to their names without understanding why. Consider this. In Hebrew tradition, names are often formed from words that hold spiritual or historical significance. The letter a name starts with is believed to carry a vibration or a certain energy that affects the person throughout their life. For instance, names that start with strong consonants may belong to leaders, warriors, or people of great endurance, while names that start with softer sounds may belong to those with intuitive, empathetic, and spiritually gifted qualities. Beyond biblical times, ancient civilizations such as the Egyptians, Greeks, and even early Christians believed in the importance of letters. To them, a name was a sacred imprint of a person's character and their connection to the divine. It was not uncommon for spiritual leaders, kings, or even prophets to rename individuals upon discovering their true purpose. Take, for instance, how Abram became Abraham, Sarai became Sarah, and Saul became Paul. These transformations weren't just symbolic. They marked a shift in the person's spiritual role. Your first letter could hold a similar mystery. Could it be a hint about your destiny? A connection to a divine blueprint that was written long before you were born? What if your name's first letter is not just an identifier, but a signature of your soul? Throughout time, people have instinctively felt that names matter, but few have truly explored why. If we start to unlock the mystery of the first letter, we might find that it carries an echo of something greater, something far beyond mere coincidence. If you've ever wondered whether your name means something deeper, whether it's a mere collection of sounds or a reflection of your spiritual essence, then this journey is for you. Your first letter could be the key to unlocking your divine identity. And if this resonates with you, it's no accident that you're here, hearing this message now. The first letter of your name often reflects the core of who you are, your strengths, weaknesses, and the road you are destined to walk. Many ancient teachings and mystical traditions suggest that each letter carries its own frequency, shaping the bearer's identity in profound ways. If we consider the biblical and spiritual significance of names, we see that they were often given not just as labels, but as declarations of character and purpose. Think of how certain names resonate throughout history. Moses, for example, begins with M, a letter associated with leadership, water, and divine calling. David starts with D, a letter that symbolizes authority, resilience, and kingship. In the modern world, people who share similar initials often carry certain shared qualities. Have you ever noticed that many influential figures or people in certain professions have names starting with the same letter? It's not mere coincidence. This phenomenon is further reflected in personal name numerology, where each letter is assigned a numerical value, offering further insight into a person's destiny. While not everyone believes in numerology, its existence across multiple cultures suggests that humanity has long suspected a deeper connection between letters and fate. Even outside spiritual or mystical beliefs, studies have suggested that a person's name can subtly influence their self-perception, career choices, and even the way others perceive them. If the first letter of your name is linked to your calling, it may explain why you naturally gravitate towards certain roles or experiences in life. Some letters seem to appear repeatedly in the names of pioneers, innovators, and leaders. Others appear in the names of those who bring stability, wisdom, and counsel to others. Your first letter might be an indicator of the traits you are meant to develop, the challenges you will face, and even the legacy you are meant to leave behind. Understanding the hidden power behind your first letter is not about superstition, it's about awareness. What does your letter reveal about your potential, your struggles, and the higher calling on your life? What if embracing this knowledge could help you step into your true purpose with confidence? If you have ever felt drawn towards something greater, if you have ever felt that your life has a meaning beyond the ordinary, then this could be your confirmation. Your first letter is not just a coincidence, it's a clue. Throughout history, biblical names have often started with letters that reflect the mission of the individual. The stories of these figures are not just ancient tales. They hold a pattern that speaks even today. Think of the great leaders, prophets, and kings whose names have been etched into history. If we analyze them, we start to see a fascinating pattern emerge. The first letter of their names seems to align with their purpose, their struggles, and their triumphs. Consider the name Moses. The letter M in many languages, including Hebrew, is associated with water, movement, and transformation. Moses was drawn from the water as a baby, led his people through the parted Red Sea, and struck a rock to bring forth water in the wilderness. His name was not just a coincidence, it was a declaration of his life's journey. David, whose name starts with D, was known for his determination, courage, and destiny as a king. The letter D carries the symbolism of a doorway, an entryway into leadership, a path forward through struggle. David's story is one of rising from obscurity to greatness, constantly stepping through new challenges that shaped his kingship. Elijah, with an E, was a prophet of fire, boldness, and divine encounters. The letter E often signifies enlightenment, energy, and expression, fitting for a prophet who called fire down from heaven and confronted the rulers of his time with fearless conviction. But what does this mean for you? Could the first letter of your name be whispering something about your calling? If biblical names were assigned with divine intention, is it possible that your name also carries a message from beyond? If you find that others with the same initial as you tend to walk similar paths, it might not be coincidence. It could be part of a grand design, a pattern woven into history by a higher hand. Even outside of the biblical context, The names of influential figures often seem to reflect their roles. Alexander, Augustus, Abraham. Each of these names carries strength, leadership, and historical significance. Meanwhile, names that begin with softer sounds like J or S often belong to peacemakers, advisors, and those who carry wisdom rather than weapons. If names are not random, then the first letter could be a clue. It might not dictate your destiny, but it could be a signpost, a hint of what lies ahead, a shadow of what is to come. Understanding this pattern can help you see yourself in a new light. It might reveal strengths you never realized you had, or confirm instincts you've always felt but never understood. This is not about superstition. It is about seeing the patterns that have always been there, waiting to be discovered. If history has shown us that names carry weight, then perhaps your first letter is more than just an initial. It might be a key to unlocking your true potential. Certain letters appear frequently in the names of chosen individuals throughout history. If yours is one of them, you might be walking a path already foretold. There are letters that seem to echo through generations, appearing again and again in the names of those who are called to great missions. But why? Is there something in these letters that draws people toward purpose? For example, the letter J has been associated with many biblical and historical figures who carried great spiritual weight: Jesus, John, Joseph, Joshua, Jeremiah. These names are linked to leadership, prophecy, and divine encounters. Those who bear the letter J in their name often find themselves drawn to paths of guidance, teaching, or service. Then there's A, a letter of authority. Abraham, Aaron, Andrew, Alexander, names that belong to leaders, pioneers, those who step forward into uncharted territory. If your name begins with A, you may feel a strong desire to lead, to create, or to bring structure where there is none. Other letters have their own distinct patterns. The letter P is often found in the names of preachers, pastors, and those who influence spiritual matters: Paul, Peter, Philip. The letter M appears in names that carry deep emotional and transformative power: Mary, Moses, Matthew. Some might dismiss these patterns as coincidence, but if we step back and look at the bigger picture, we see a repetition that is too strong to ignore. If your name starts with one of these letters, it may indicate that you are walking a path shared by those before you, a path with a purpose, a calling woven into history. Even outside of Scripture, the names of influential figures in history and modern times reflect these patterns. When we see leaders, artists, and visionaries sharing similar initials, it raises an important question. Is the letter itself a sign of their destiny, or is it simply a reflection of something deeper within them? Understanding the significance of the first letter of your name is not about limiting your potential. It is about recognizing that you might already be carrying a legacy within you. What if the challenges you've faced, the dreams you've pursued, and the qualities you possess are all connected to something greater? What if your name is not just a name, but a signal of the role you were meant to play in this world? If the same letters have appeared in the names of great figures, time and time again, then perhaps your name is no accident. Perhaps it is a sign that you too are part of something far bigger than you ever imagined. Some letters are rarer than others. What does it mean if your name starts with a letter that barely appears in divine history? Does it signify a new path or an undiscovered role? Throughout biblical history and even beyond, Some letters seem to dominate the names of leaders, prophets, and chosen figures, while others appear scarcely, almost hidden in the grand narrative. But why? If you find yourself with a name that starts with a letter rarely seen in spiritual texts, you might wonder, does this mean I am not part of the pattern? Does this mean my destiny is unknown or perhaps insignificant? The answer is quite the opposite. The absence of a letter in historical records does not mean it lacks meaning. Rather, it suggests something new, something yet to be revealed. Names that start with uncommon letters often belong to pioneers, those who break the mold, forge new paths, and step into roles that were previously unknown. These individuals are not following an established legacy. They are creating one. Their purpose might not be easily defined by history because their story is still being written. For example, names beginning with letters like Z, Q, or X are rare, yet when they do appear, they often belong to figures of profound uniqueness. Zechariah, whose name means God remembers, was a prophet given divine visions. He played a role that was distinct from others, bringing messages of hope and restoration. Similarly, in modern times, names with uncommon initials often belong to innovators, artists, and thinkers who defy convention. If your name begins with a rare letter, you may feel like you don't quite fit into existing categories. You may struggle to find clear role models who share your name's initial. But that doesn't mean your path is uncertain. It means you are called to create something entirely new. Your journey is not about following footsteps, but about leaving your own. In many ways, the rarity of your letter can be a sign of an extraordinary calling. You are not part of an established pattern because your purpose is different. You might be someone who reshapes traditions, who introduces new ideas, or who carries a mission that has never been seen before. So, if you've ever felt like you don't fit into predefined roles, if you've sensed that your path is different from those around you, consider this. Your name itself might be a sign that you are meant to bring something new into the world. The lack of historical precedent does not mean a lack of significance. It means a future waiting to be defined by you. Some names start with letters that seem insignificant, yet they belong to the greatest unsung heroes. Could your name be hiding a quiet but powerful mission? Throughout history, certain names have commanded attention. Names that belong to kings, prophets, and warriors. But what about the names that don't seem to hold the same weight? What about the names that, at first glance, appear ordinary? Could it be that these names, and the letters they begin with, are carrying a deeper strength? One that is not loud, but unshakable? Many of the most powerful figures in history were not recognized immediately. Their impact was not in grand speeches or battles, but in the quiet moments of faithfulness, wisdom, and resilience. Consider individuals like Ruth, whose name was not associated with rulership or conquest, yet her role in history was pivotal. She carried a legacy that led to the lineage of kings, not because she sought power, but because she walked faithfully in her calling. The same can be said for letters that seem unassuming. Names that begin with softer sounds, or letters that do not often appear in historical records, may belong to those who shape the world not through force, but through quiet strength. Their influence is subtle but profound. They are the ones who support, who nurture, who guide from behind the scenes. If your name starts with one of these letters, you might not feel like you are destined for public recognition. But that does not mean your role is any less significant. In fact, those who operate outside of the spotlight often carry the heaviest responsibilities. They are the ones who hold the foundations together, who provide wisdom when others seek direction, and who serve without seeking attention. In many ways, these individuals are the hidden pillars of history. Their names may not always be remembered by the masses, but their impact is felt for generations. If you have ever wondered why your path seems to be one of quiet endurance rather than public glory, consider this. Your strength is not in being seen, it is in being steadfast. Your name may not be one that echoes through history books, but it may be one that echoes in eternity. What if your greatest impact is not in what the world sees, but in the unseen? What if your role is to be the foundation upon which others build? The power of a name is not always in its prominence, but in the depth of its influence. And sometimes, the most unassuming letters carry the greatest strength. Some letters have historically been linked to trials, suffering, and great challenges. If your name starts with one, does it mean your path is harder or simply greater? Throughout history, certain letters seem to belong to individuals who face immense struggles, but also rise to immense purpose. These names often carry weight, not because they are cursed, but because they belong to those chosen for difficult yet extraordinary journeys. Consider the name Job. The letter J is often found in the names of those who endure trials before stepping into their purpose. Job, whose story is one of suffering and restoration, is a prime example. His name is forever linked to endurance, faith, and divine reward. Joseph, another J name, faced betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment before becoming a ruler who saved nations. The common thread between these names is not suffering for its own sake, but the refining process that prepared them for greatness. If your name begins with a letter often linked to hardship, it does not mean you are destined to struggle endlessly. Rather, it may mean that your path includes seasons of testing that forge you into someone stronger. These challenges are not meant to destroy you, but to shape you into a person capable of fulfilling a higher calling. Biblically and historically, we see this pattern repeat. Names that start with D, such as David and Daniel, belong to figures who faced overwhelming odds but ultimately triumphed through faith. David fought giants, both literal and metaphorical, before becoming a king. Daniel faced exile, betrayal, and the lion's den before becoming one of the most influential advisors in history. Even in modern times, individuals with these initials often describe feeling as though their lives have been marked by struggle, yet also by resilience. If your name starts with a letter linked to trials, you may feel that you are constantly being tested, but perhaps this testing is not punishment. It is preparation. There is something unique about those who carry these letters. They often emerge from hardship with wisdom, compassion, and a sense of purpose that others do not possess. They understand suffering, which makes them better leaders, healers, and guides. If you have ever felt like your life has been filled with obstacles, consider this. Perhaps you were chosen not because of the struggle itself, but because of who you would become on the other side of it. Your first letter may be a sign that you are called to rise beyond difficulty, to transform pain into purpose, and to walk a path that others cannot. The weight of a difficult name is not a burden, it is an honor. It means that you are being prepared for something greater. Just as warriors carry different weapons, the first letter of your name might reflect what kind of spiritual armor you bear in this world. In the biblical narrative, spiritual warriors were given tools that aligned with their purpose. David had his sling, Moses had his staff, Paul had his words. Each of them carried something unique to their calling, something that gave them strength in the battles they faced. But what if, instead of a physical tool, your weapon is hidden in your name? The first letter of your name may be a symbol of the kind of strength you carry. Some letters belong to defenders, those who stand on the front lines, protecting and fighting for others. These individuals are often bold, unwavering, and unafraid to challenge the status quo. Other letters belong to strategists, those who fight battles with wisdom rather than force. Their strength is in their ability to see beyond the immediate and navigate complex situations with insight. Some names carry the energy of healing, belonging to those who bring restoration and peace rather than war. These individuals may not always be seen as fighters, but their impact is just as powerful. If your name starts with a letter often linked to warriors or defenders, you may feel a natural pull toward leadership, justice, and protection. You might find yourself stepping up in moments of crisis, feeling a responsibility to stand for what is right, even when it is difficult. If your name starts with a letter linked to wisdom and counsel, you might find that people often seek your advice. Your battles may not be fought with weapons, but with words, strategies, and understanding. You may feel drawn to roles that require discernment and decision-making rather than direct action. If your name carries the energy of healing, you may feel compelled to help others, to bring peace where there is chaos, and to mend what is broken. This is no less of a battle. It simply takes a different form. The key is to recognize the strength that your name carries. Your first letter is not just a sound, it is a reflection of the spiritual armor you wear. Whether you are a protector, a strategist, or a healer, your name is a clue to the role you are meant to play. If you have ever felt that your presence in certain situations is not accidental, that you are drawn to specific roles or responsibilities, consider this. Your name may be pointing you toward the battles you were born to fight. The question is, will you embrace the armor you've been given? Every name is a door. Some doors lead to leadership, others to protection, others to quiet faithfulness. The first letter is just the beginning of a deeper story, written before time itself. So, what does your first letter reveal? Have you ever felt its weight on your life? If this message spoke to you, then you were meant to hear it. Before you go, remember, this is only the beginning. Subscribe, because the secrets of the chosen are far from over. Until next time, walk boldly in your calling.